It's on anyway.
It's on.
Speak close to it. You need to speak closer.
Bonjour. You'll have to excuse me, my French is très mal. My name is, even though I'm from Canada, my name is Dr. Janice Waldron, and this is my lovely translator, Mr. Mike James. And I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to be presenting my paper today, How Are Musics of Oral Traditions Transmitted in the Digital Age? A longitudinal, qualitative ethnographic investigation of music learning and teaching in the Online Academy of Irish Traditional Music. And before I go any farther, if y'all would, if I'm speaking too fast, let me know. If you would just put your hand in the air and I'll slow down. I'm going to be speaking, and then Mike will break a little for Mike to translate for non-English speakers. And again, I apologize that I don't speak français.
Donc, ce qu'il dit, je vais essayer de résumer, mais j'ai découvert le texte en fin de matinée, donc c'est un petit. Je ne vais pas traduire mot à mot, je vais essayer de ne pas le faire. S'il y a des choses, si quelqu'un se trouve complètement perdu, si vous levez la main, je vais essayer de revenir sur le domaine. Janice disait qu'elle va essayer de parler pas trop vite, mais si vous trouvez qu'elle parle vite et vous êtes en moyen de la comprendre si elle parle pas trop vite, il faut nous faire un petit signe aussi. On va essayer de s'adapter. Voilà.
Very good.
Donc, voilà, Dr. Janice Waldron.
Ready to go. Thank you. So, the recent proliferation of information technologies has created unprecedented educational opportunities as the triple revolution, that is, the intersection of internet, mobile phones, and social networks, continues to expand. As this technological convergence generates more possibilities for people to learn in community via the web, the pedagogical status quo becomes insufficient for meeting 21st century music learners' needs.
Donc voilà, la fameuse triple révolution, c'est-à-dire l'intersection de l'Internet, la téléphonie mobile et les réseaux sociaux, continue à exploser, on peut dire. Au fur et à mesure de cette convergence technologique, il y a davantage de possibilités pour les personnes d'apprendre en communauté en passant par le web et le statu quo pédagogique devient insuffisant pour rencontrer les besoins d'apprenants du 21e siècle.
Exploring emergent music learning and teaching models facilitated by global web access can reveal alternative music education practices and delivery systems not seen in offline conservatories and schools. A particularly interest for my research is how the web and internet technologies have changed how transmission and learning of traditional folk music occurs globally. And now I'm going to let Mike translate what I just said, but I'll also let you read this quote from Keegan's and Wright in Press. So I'll let you read it if you read English, and Mike will translate.
Ok, voilà. Donc vous allez pouvoir prendre l'avance en lisant le texte en anglais. J'essaie de rattraper la fin de son discours. Donc, explorer les modèles d'apprentissage et d'enseignement facilités par l'accès au web peut révéler des pratiques alternatives à l'éducation et des systèmes de mise à disposition qui n'existent pas dans des conservatoires et des écoles de musique hors ligne. Surtout d'intérêt dans cette recherche, c'est de la manière comment le web et les technologies d'Internet ont changé la transmission et l'apprentissage de musique traditionnelle de différents pays à travers le monde. Et donc, selon Keegan Phipps and Wright, c'est ça, donc la grande majorité de musiciens traditionnels dans l'Ouest, dans l'Occident, on va dire, anglophone, utilisent de plus en plus les ressources, les réseaux sociaux et les ressources numériques pour chercher du répertoire et des compétences et des techniques. Les instrumentalistes, de leur côté, les personnes dans les pubs, dans les sessions qui enregistrent, c'est pareil donc pour le chant traditionnel, ils identifient des chansons également sur des sites de partage tels que SoundCloud qui sont réservés, qui sont mémorisés par la suite pour une performance sur les scènes locaux. Et les musiciens de toutes sortes demandent et envoient des informations sur la provenance de tels matériaux ou sa significance à travers des plateformes spécialisées, plus ou moins spécialisées, et disponibles par les réseaux sociaux. Et c'est paradoxe. Ah, voilà.
Okay, this is paradoxical when one considers how folk music traditionally was learned and transmitted. That is, in person in a local regional context, which was I found fascinating this morning because the first panel, in particular, that's what the panelists were talking about, what we're talking about today. As Keegan Phipps and Wright continue to explain.
Donc effectivement, un grand paradoxe que la musique traditionnellement est transmise oralement, c'est-à-dire en personne, dans un contexte régional et local. Et puis elle a trouvé ça très intéressant, les premiers témoignages de ce matin qui soulignaient en fait cette tension un petit peu entre l'Internet et la transmission en chair, comme on disait. Effectivement, donc le diapo. la réalité numérique de la pratique contemporaine de musique traditionnelle contraste avec les conceptions qu'on a souvent concernant le genre. La musique traditionnelle est compris à l'origine comme un produit de la tradition orale, formé et défini par la pratique de face à face, comme on a dit ce matin, et de transmission, quoi.
Indeed, motivated adult learners can and often do learn folk musics on their own, informally, by tapping into web resources, which I'm going to discuss in the next section. And what I'm going to suggest is that I'm going to go ahead and talk, and maybe we can compress it down somewhat. I'll keep going.
Oui,
okay. Oui.
Donc voilà, des adultes souvent, ils utilisent beaucoup de ressources web pour apprendre des musiques tout seuls, en dehors de toute structure d'enseignement.
So now I'm going to talk about something called informal music learning practices, which I'm sure most of you as folk musicians are familiar with this, but this term was first codified in 2002 by British music education researcher Lucy Green, who defined the term informal music learning practices to describe how popular musicians learn based on their music, on the research study of the same. Her participants included teenagers and adults, and the focus of the study was to discover the ways in which musicians pick up the skills necessary to become Western popular musicians. These informal music learning practices, Green's designation, included orally picking up musical skills and knowledge from family, friends, and peers and recordings. Besides being applicable to popular music, Green's definition of informal music learning is directly applicable to how folk musicians from a wide range of diverse musics learn music as well. Because widespread internet access was relatively non-existent in most people's everyday lives when Green first defined informal music learning practices in the late 90s, how people learned music informally at that time was much more limited than it is now. For example, before widespread internet availability, people wanting to learn a new vernacular or diverse music had to find hard artifacts like records, CDs, and tape cassettes on their own, something I'm sure that everybody before the internet is familiar with learning. For example, on their own. Finding a supportive mentor or a community of learners was problematic as well, and done through word of mouth. With apologies to Lucy Green, I'd label her original definition as informal music learning practices 1.0. Because Green's original definition of informal music learning practices did not include the many ways of how self-directed learners used the internet to learn vernacular or diverse musics, I have amended her original 2002 description of informal music learning practices to what I call Informal Music Learning Practices 2.0. Through Informal Music Learning Practices 2.0, learners can now
Bon.
pick up. Instead of translating, why don't you translate the slide? The slide. We'll go on, because otherwise we won't get.
But I'll resume. Ok, donc voilà. Donc là, on est sur les pratiques informelles de l'apprentissage de la musique. Et donc, à partir de recherches de Lucy Green en 2002, donc, en parlant d'un public d'adolescents et d'adultes, ces études étaient de découvrir comment les musiciens trouvent sur le bord de la route, on va dire, les compétences nécessaires pour devenir des musiciens populaires occidentaux. Donc, sa définition de l'apprentissage informel est applicable aux musiciens qui viennent d'une grande divergence d'origine et comment ils apprennent la musique. Le grand changement depuis le début, depuis les années 90, quand elle a mis en place ces définitions, était que dans les années 90, la plupart des gens apprenaient sur des objets, les CD, les disques, les cassettes, etc. Et puis il fallait aussi trouver, ce qui était problématique par moment, un professeur, un mentor ou une communauté d'apprenants. Et ce qui était également pas facile à trouver et qui venait de bouche à l'oreille. Donc, elle a défini, elle a trouvé la définition de Lucy Green, donc Informal Music Learning Practices 1.0, et là, elle modifie de cette manière-là la version 2.0, qui est effectivement donc dans un premier temps, en pick-up, on trouve sur le bord de la route via la numérique des ressources, des outils, de contenus générés par les utilisateurs, tels que les YouTube et les MP3, 24/7 dans n'importe quel genre musical. On n'a plus vraiment besoin d'objets en dur. Et le stockage en cloud facilite la conservation de ces objets, de ces éléments. Et donc, trouver une communauté online, en ligne d'apprenants devient moins difficile parce que les connexions faites sur les communautés de musique en ligne et les réseaux sociaux, souvent, de plus en plus maintenant, chevauchent avec des réseaux hors ligne, ce qui peut donner des opportunités dans la vraie vie de connecter, de jouer, de trouver des performances et d'apprendre la musique et l'enseignement.
Okay, thus, informal music learning practices 2.0 often play a significant role in how learners of various folk musics learn their musics in the 21st century. One example of how informal music learning practices 2.0 can be integrated into an online community music school comes from the Online Academy of Irish Music, or as we call it, the OIM, O-A-I-M. The OIM also offers one possible model for how diverse musics can be taught and learned in an online and offline convergent community music school. In other words, the online and the offline come together. So I'm going to discuss my research of the OAIM in the next section. Yes, I do. So the purpose of my three-part longitudinal ethnographic/cyber ethnographic field study was to explore the manner in which Irish traditional music, or Irish trad, was taught and learned by students, teacher, and learner participants through the Online Academy of Irish Music. Physically situated in West County Clare, Ireland, the OIM is an Irish traditional music school whose teachers form a community of Irish trad musician teachers based in Ireland and whose students are non-enculturated adult learners from around the world. In other words, they are learners who did not grow up in an Irish traditional practice. The OIM was still in its nascence at the time of our research team's first 2011 study, so over the first 5 years of our investigations, we have observed how the school has evolved to meet learners' needs as well as how new technologies have been integrated into the OIM since its founding.
Can I resume?
No, otherwise we won't finish, Mike. Research questions from all three parts of this qualitative ethnographic longitudinal investigation included, and if you would be so kind to translate the research questions.
Okay.
So these are the questions that we were asking.
Vous avez saisi la nature de l'école en question? Moyen. Donc effectivement, l'OAIM, Online Academy of Irish Music, c'est une convergence d'enseignement sur le web et qui a trouvé le besoin par la suite d'organiser des summer schools, des rencontres physiques. Alors, je pense que c'est pour ça l'intérêt de l'étude de Janice. Les questions de recherche sont comment sont les questions de pour savoir comment les questions de culture, signification, identité pratique, comment ça évolue au fur et à mesure que l'étude de musique irlandaise traditionnelle, IRTRAD, dans un contexte numérique, bouge de ce contexte traditionnel hors ligne à un contexte global online. Deuxièmement, quelles ressources et technologies, par exemple des vidéos YouTube, est-ce qu'on utilise pour engager et promouvoir les moments d'apprentissage informel dans la communauté online, comment les communautés hors et sur ligne chevauchent, comment ils sont intégrés les uns avec les autres, de quelle manière cette convergence facilite l'apprentissage de musique. Est-ce que le changement vers un format online change la pratique pédagogique, et si oui, comment? Quel est si attirant, qu'est-ce qui attire dans la musique traditionnelle irlandaise en tant que genre participatif de pratique musicale, pour que des participants d'en dehors, qui ne sont pas enculturés à la culture irlandaise et la zone géographique irlandaise, sont motivés pour l'apprendre. Comment les participants en question perçoivent la différence entre l'aspect participatif de la musique dans la communauté live, par rapport à sa culture d'origine, et l'apprentissage et l'enseignement dans un environnement online structuré, qui est, on pourrait dire, un simulacre de pratique musicale participatif, parce que c'est virtuel. Et dernièrement, quel rôle est-ce que le concept de culture participative a dans l'apprentissage des participants?
In the first investigation of the three, we examined the school through the OIM's teachers' narratives. Instructors were interviewed face-to-face, and their narratives were then triangulated with their OIM teaching videos and forum postings to understand how delivering music teaching online differed from teaching in offline contexts. We concluded that while not ideal, the OIM offered Irish traditional music teachers the opportunity to provide students with high-quality instruction that those students would otherwise not be able to access. In the second part of the OIM study, we explored the school from the perspective of adult students enrolled at the July 2013 OIAM Irish Traditional Flute Week in Liscannor, Ireland, framing the investigation with Thomas Torino's 2008 idea of participatory music making and Henry Jenkins's concept of participatory culture. We concluded that the primary motivation of the adult students was to become competent enough at Irish trad to play with other people in sessions. In other words, participatory music making was everyone's goal. Participants also felt that it was important to physically be in Ireland for music learning, if only for a short amount of time. However, they also valued being able to go online because doing so afforded them access to music resources not previously available before the advent of the web. But all of the study participants were adamant that being able to access an online participatory culture for music learning was of lesser significance to them than learning and playing in a face-to-face music-making context, such as a session. And again, that's what we heard from the roundtable this morning. This last finding led us to our third and final study of the OAIM, in which the research team attended a 5-day Tin Whistle workshop music retreat in fall 2015 at the Rowan Tree Hostel in Ennis, County Clare, Ireland. OAIM founder Kirsten Allstaff led the face-to-face whistle workshop, and participants also had an opportunity to receive instruction from guest artists such as Irish traditional flautist Kevin Crawford, as well as experience and/or join-in jam sessions during the evening. So now I'm going to give you a little bit of background about the Online Academy of Irish Music.
Can I just resume, just very briefly?
We're going to run out of time, Mike.
I'm just afraid that people won't understand
well,
context.
maybe they can raise their hand and you can go in and translate if they raise their hand. We only have 10 minutes left.
Yeah?
So, yeah.
Okay.
So, founded by director Kirsten Allstaff in October 2010, the OAIM began with 11 tutors who taught a variety of Irish traditional instruments to approximately 300 subscriber learners situated globally. At its founding, the OIM's geographical administrative base was situated in Liscannor, County Clare, Ireland. But this is Doolin. But it has now since moved to Doolin, County Clare. If anybody's familiar with Irish traditional music, Doolin is a very powerful signifier for any Irish traditional musician, so that is why they moved the school headquarters there. The OIM is comprised of a faculty community of paid Irish trad musician teachers, physically based in Ireland, and non-enculturated, i.e., adult learners who did not grow up playing Irish traditional music from around the world who pay a modest instructional fee in exchange for OIM access. This first 2010 iteration of the OIM's website featured a menu of systematic digital instructional videos with all of its tutors on each of their respective instruments, personal tutor blogs, chat forums, in which communication did and still takes place student to student, student to instructor, and vice versa. After the site administrator uploads online teaching videos to the OIM, learners who have paid tuition access the digital lessons and the OIM forums. And for forums, I'm not going to go into this now because we're short on time, but this was brought up this morning. In order for forums to work, you have to have a critical mass of people on them, which is why a lot of the smaller chat forums have folded and people have gone to Facebook and Instagram because they're more personal network based as opposed to interest based. If I had more time, I would go into more of that. All of the online teaching videos are also available for downloads as MP3s. In this way, the site began by combining formal music instruction with a variety of informal music learning practices delivered in an online context, something that it still does. Although teaching videos are more formalized and linear than is typical in Irish trad learning, OIM's tutors employ oral, and observational modes of informal music learning consistent with Irish traditional music practices, and this prescribed format makes digital teaching videos signifiable as music lessons to the learners who buy the lessons. So in April 2011, the OIM also began sponsoring live feeds of its instructors performing together in informal jam sessions in Gus O'Connor's pub, famous as a traditional music hotspot in Doolin, County Clare, and at flaws and festivals throughout Ireland. During the live feeds, community members texted instructors in real time, asking questions and sending messages, the online, which the tutors then read aloud and responded to on camera. Besides intertwining the online with the offline community, the live feeds served to contextualize Irish traditional music for community members geographically distant from Ireland, encouraging communality and connecting far-flung group members to one another. With the success of the OIM as an online school firmly in place in June 2013, the OIM began offering a series of offline summer school music weeks at its home base in Liscannor to supplement the online OIM's global community of learners. The aim of the summer school weeks was to offer students the opportunity to contextualize their previous online Irish traditional music learning done through the OIM, intertwining skills they had already developed through virtual instruction with face-to-face teaching delivered in the more authentic setting of Liscannor, County Clare, Ireland. And I have a video I was going to play, but we're short on time. The current 2019 iteration of the online OIM has evolved as technology facilitates more imaginative and innovative ways of delivering content. Two added features to the site are particularly significant for learners. The first is a backing track program which members can choose the tunes they want to play, what tempo they want to play those tunes at, and the instruments with which they want to play along with while jamming. And it is thus an Irish updated online video of Jamie Aebersold's jazz CDs, which I don't know if anybody in the audience is familiar with that, but where you get to pick what you want to do. The second innovative feature is the virtual jam session, which is a 3D jam session featuring the OIM tutors playing in various Irish trad pubs scattered throughout County Clare. A third initiative is the 50-Tune Challenge, where OIM's tutors are encouraged to learn 50 of the most common Irish session tunes with guided help from features and tutors on the OIM site. And I was going to show you the OIM website here, but we're short on time, so if you would like to look at it, that is the web address, so you can look it up on your phone. Or you can email me and I'll send it to you. All of the tunes featured in the backing tracks, 3D jam sessions, and 50-Tune Challenge are also cross-referenced with all of the tunes taught on the 300-plus OIM tutors teaching videos. This imitates the process of how Irish musicians traditionally learned the music. In other words, first, learning the tune by ear with a recording or from a peer, and then playing it with others in a session, and then users can thus integrate their tunes, learn from the online teaching videos with jamming through the OIM's 3D virtual sessions and backing tracks. Further, although written notation to learn music is not part of Irish traditional music pedagogy, for learners uncomfortable learning by ear and observation, the OIM site also includes downloadable Western written notation, ABC versions of tunes, as well as tab charts. Thus, the motivated learner can learn a tune from one feature on the OIM and transfer it to another using a variety of pedagogical strategies. The OIM has also recently began offering students the opportunity to be officially assessed by tutors. Students pay an assessment fee of €120, which includes a 45-minute one-to-one live Skype meeting with the tutor and a written report on the performance, written submission, and a live discussion performance of what the student has done. A grade is then decided on between the tutor and the OIM team, and successful students are presented with a certificate. While technology makes the OIM possible, it is Director Kirsten Allstaff's vision that guides the school development. For example, she receives a great deal of feedback from site members relating to tune quality, how good are the tunes, and where are they from, and learners also suggest what new courses they would like to see offered. It is this feedback that, according to Allstaff, is a major motivating factor for both developing the offline OIM's retreats and for determining what new content is offered and how it is delivered on the online OIM. As for the offline versions of the OIM, which is their retreats, at the time of my last investigation of the OAIM, where we attended a week-long tin whistle workshop in Ennis County, Clare, Allstaff explained to us that those first retreats in June worked so well, it became clear that they are what people want. Based on those initial week successes, the OIM began offering more retreats as a way for the online students to meet one another face-to-face in Ireland. Allstaff further stressed that a retreat success was depending on, quote, getting the right people, meaning instructors, in here, and that such endeavors are not all about the music. It's about people, teachers, who are kind and gentle. As for future retreats, she also said, we're going to look at next year at introducing a session retreat, so we might get people back who have already been to retreats once or twice. The success of those initial music retreats is significant for another reason. They represent the beginning of the OIM's evolution from being a strictly online community music school to becoming an online and an offline convergent one. Since 2013, the OIM has sponsored music week retreats at various places throughout Ireland and Finland. Allstaff's goal is to eventually offer such events in other countries, for example, Canada and Japan, where a significant number of online OIM members already physically live. So, from a community music school perspective, there are two things that are revolutionary about the growth of the OIM, as I just talked about. First, the offline OIM is portable. It can go wherever there are groups of OIM students, or it can go to a destination place where students want to learn. In other words, different Irish trad spots throughout Ireland, which was the last of our 3 studies, was an example of that. What defines the school then is its people, administrators, teachers, and adult students who have met online and make up the school, but not the geographical place. This is a radical idea because it means that students can go either to where the offline school will be, or the offline school can go to where the students are. Second, this latest development in the OIM's expansion became possible only because it had already established itself as a successful online community music school. Online networks of learners facilitated the burgeoning offline school in addition to the OIM's development as a convergent community, but not vice versa. The OIM has thus flipped and converged the classroom. However, unlike typical learning communities and/or institutions, the flip is based on the online context and not the offline one. So that's pretty radical. So I'm going to conclude. Although qualitative research is not considered to be generalizable, there are lessons to be learned from it. On the surface, this investigation was about adults learning Irish traditional music in different online and offline contexts, mediums, and modes through a community music school. But it was also more than that. Participants in this study very much wanted to be able to make music with other people in a musical culture that for various reasons was attracted to them regardless of their cultural backgrounds. And they wanted to learn it so badly that they were motivated enough to travel to Ireland to do so. This, in addition to learning Irish trad on their own by trawling through internet resources and searching for people with whom to play in their own locales. The goal of the participants in all 3 of the OIM studies was to be competent enough at Irish trad to play with other people in sessions. In other words, participatory music making was everyone's learning goal. Participants also stressed how important being in the culture from whence it came from was a necessary part of learning Irish traditional music. But they also emphasized the importance of being able to go online because doing so afforded them access to music resources not previously possible before the advent of the web. All of them employed informal music learning practices 2.0 when learning Irish traditional music to some extent. For most, however, music learning through access to an online participatory culture did not trump learning and playing in a participatory music-making context like a session. Thus, the study findings were consistent with the following quote from New Media Scholars, Rainey and Wellman, 2012. Critics used to worry that the internet would be an inadequate replacement for human contact because hugging a computer screen is less satisfying than hugging a friend. In fact, evidence shows that internet communication technologies supplement rather than replace human contact. People will make do with electronic contact if they cannot be together in person. So, advancements in technology, changes in social networking, and social norms have redefined how people communicate and learn in the 21st century. The OIM is a reflection of this technological and social evolution where adult learners often prefer to use multiple resources when engaging in music making, accessing the digital world one moment and then choosing to participate in a group face-to-face learning experience the next. This research suggests that the OIM, a successful convergent online and offline community music school, could be one potential model for 21st century community music schools around the world. Thank you.
Il y a des questions? Gonal?
Bonjour. Alors, je vais poser la question en français, ça va être plus compréhensible, je pense. Alors, si j'ai bien compris, il existe plusieurs facteurs pour qu'une telle initiative fonctionne. Des gens motivés par le répertoire, des gens qui souhaitent maîtriser des morceaux pour pouvoir le jouer ensemble. Mais et j'ai cru comprendre aussi qu'on avait besoin de réunir une masse suffisante de personnes, enfin que la communauté atteigne une taille nécessaire pour que ça fonctionne. Est-ce qu'on a une idée ou est-ce qu'on peut saisir en fait s'il y a une taille critique en fait au-dessous de laquelle une telle communauté ne peut pas fonctionner?
Tu veux dire pour l'école de musique?
Pour une école de musique, oui. Si on voulait reproduire par exemple ce schéma-là pour la Bretagne.
Je pense que la question de masse critique, c'était une référence au forum. Oui. Comme vous parliez tout à l'heure du forum de Tancrèze, qu'en fait il est suspendu si on veut parce qu'il n'y a pas assez de monde qui est parti.
Oh, sorry, no. So, yeah.
Do you have an idea how many people are involved in the school?
In the school, they began with 300 people. They began with 300 people, and at last count, they were at. Kirsten told me they were 4,000 plus.
Ok. En ce qui concerne l'école, ils étaient 300 au début et maintenant ils sont 4,000 ou plus. Donc c'est pas forcément si critique que ça. Ça peut fonctionner à 300 comme ça peut fonctionner à 4,000, quoi.
I'll answer this question. And they were having problems with people using their forums because the critical mass wasn't there when they began, because there were only 300 students. So they had a real problem. They didn't understand that it was a lack of that you had to have a lot of people on a forum in order to make it work.
Donc le problème forum, effectivement, ils ont essuyé le problème en ce qui concerne les forums interactifs, mais pas par rapport à l'enseignement. C'était pas la même question là.
Actually, I'll just explain maybe. One of the other forums, online forums that I've done a lot of research on that some of you might be familiar with is an online community forum that is very successful called the Banjo Hangout. And it's a great forum. And the last time I looked, there were 70,000 plus members. And because it's so large, there's constant turnover. And because there's constant turnover, mass brings mass, correct? Okay. So people are always looking because they know there's always going to be something new, thus there's more on it. So that's always a problem with a forum, with an interest-based forum, is that you have to get enough people to buy into it.
Donc effectivement, elle a fait des recherches sur un autre forum qui s'appelle Banjo Plus Forum, que vous pouvez chercher. Et là, dernière nouvelle, ils avaient plus de 70 000 participants au forum. C'est un forum qui marche toujours, mais clairement, il faut suffisamment de personnes présentes pour que le contenu est continuellement renouvelé. Ce qui n'est pas toujours évident dans une petite organisation.
Bonjour, I will try to say it in English.
Don't do it on my account.
Yeah, you've talked about learning a lot, but what about creating music? Did you think about something that, with all the participants, would create music on an online server? For example, they are meeting during their retreats, they practice music, but then after the end of the retreat, what if they want to continue creating music together, but they are living all around the world? Did you think about something that would connect them into creation of music?
Yes, okay, so I just want to make clear, are you talking about creation as in composing, or creation in that they're playing together?
No, composing.
Oh, composing. Composing is not a part of this site, although there are members on it that do compose their own tunes. Actually, people might be familiar with the Chip and Pipple Irish website. They share a lot of their composed tunes on there. But there are quite a few of websites that exist online, a couple online, offline, that the whole reason for their existence is that people compose collaboratively. So somebody will compose here, and then someone from another place will compose another place. That happens a lot in the hip-hop community, where they talk about collaborating. I did another study with a person who was a hip-hop composer in Windsor, Ontario, where I live, and he does a lot of work with a guy he has never met in LA. collaborating, composing hip-hop music. And as a matter of fact, he's now been, the guy's name is Marco, and he has now signed contracts with Universal NBC and does a lot of commercial work. But the person that he works with, until recently, they had not met face-to-face, and they did most of their collaborating through Instagram, which I found very interesting. But in terms of the Irish, in terms of this forum, they don't do any composing of tunes on this forum per se. I don't know if you contacted Kirsten and asked her about doing a composition, Irish traditional composition class, that could happen. So.
C'était juste pour souligner que le processus d'enseignement, il y a un premier contrat des cours de musique en ligne avec des vidéos d'experts pour apprendre les bases de l'exécution, si on veut, de la musique irlandaise, et que les rencontres, les retreats, ça vient à la demande des personnes qui suivaient ces cours parce qu'ils sentaient le besoin justement que la partie virtuelle à distance était riche pour découvrir des techniques, mais il manquait la chair, comme on disait ce matin, et qu'il y avait besoin d'aller plus loin, et qu'en fait la partie la plus satisfaisante, c'était la rencontre en Irlande, ou au moins en créant une communauté virtuelle en dehors de l'Irlande, si c'était en Finlande ou en Japon, pour créer une retraite portative, comme Janice a dit.
Is anybody familiar with the website Indaba Music? Because that's an online composition community where it exists totally online, and people collaborate and compose with one another. So if you're interested in that, come in and see me, and I'll give you the website.
Bonjour, moi j'ai une question par ici. Il y a quelque chose qui me frappe assez dans cette observation, c'est que j'ai l'impression que la musique irlandaise est jouée un peu partout dans le monde, et que pour un musicien qui voudrait apprendre, je pense que ça doit être quand même... qu'il est possible de l'apprendre dans n'importe quelle grande ville du monde, de trouver des Irish stations dans des pubs. Et du coup, j'aimerais savoir si Janice a eu des retours sur son enquête de musiciens ou d'enseignants non virtuels de la musique irlandaise, et leur retour sur cette école online. Et aussi, si j'ai bien compris, je crois qu'il y a des sessions qui ont lieu dans des pubs, mais filmées avec une interaction possible avec les étudiants online. Enfin, j'ai peut-être pas tout compris là.
Ah, oui, oui.
And that you can eventually go into find a place in a lot of big towns or even not so big towns to play together and therefore learn Irish music. Have you had one thing is, have you had feedback about from face-to-face teachers about this school, about the digital aspect of this school, and also what can you explain a little bit more the sessions, the virtual sessions, what exactly it consisted in?
Right. Okay. So that's really two questions.
That's two questions.
So, so just to be clear, so the teachers from the school, or people
feedback from other people who teach. D'autres personnes qui enseignent un peu ailleurs, en dehors de ça, qui ont un petit peu goûté à cette expérience-là. Yeah. Feedback from people who teach in other contexts, in a traditional context, and who've had a sort of a look at this kind of teaching.
Okay, traditional Irish music. Irish music. I haven't done the research yet per se on the feedback from the teachers on this, but there is a lot of discussion. The Chif and Fipple Forum, if you plug in OAIM, there are multiple discussions about people discussing the quality of the teachers and the quality of the teaching on there. But I haven't done that research. I really haven't done that research yet. So I do know the quality of teaching is quite high because Kirsten is a University of Limerick has a master's degree in traditional Irish music, playing flute, and the tutors that she's hired are all people that are involved. Either they're very highly respected, well-known Irish traditional musics in Clare, or from Limerick, or from County Cork. and they're well known. Either they officially have a degree, or they're well-known players. So, but I haven't really looked at that yet. So, and the second question was, sorry.
The nature of the virtual sessions.
Oh, the nature of the virtual sessions. I wish I could show it to you. We had some internet problems. Very cool in that they put the 3D, the camera, the 3D cameras where you can search around the room. I actually play it. I play at home with them quite a lot. I have a new Irish flute, and the camera sits here, and at the top is listed the tunes that they're playing. They play the tunes in tune groups. So they'll do 3 or 4 jigs, and they'll put the names up above the screen, and so that you know what's coming up. And then when you touch the video play, it comes on. They play the tunes in order, but you can turn the camera around so that you can look at the instrument that you're trying to learn. So myself, I'm a flute, whistle, uilleann pipe player, and I just recently got a beautiful Irish wooden flute, and I've been playing along with the 3D jam sessions, but when I play along with them, I always play along with the camera on Kirsten Allstaff, because she's a flute player, so that I can watch her fingers. But again, it's set up that way, so if you play fiddle or banjo, you can turn the camera around so it's the instrument that you want to look at. So that's what that is. Does that answer?
But these are pre-recorded.
Oh, yes, they're pre-recorded. They're not live. They have done live sessions, but I don't think they were as successful as they thought they would be, and they had problems with them. I haven't heard about them since. So.
Voilà, c'est préenregistré, mais...
Yeah.
Et on sélectionne
Actually, no, I shouldn't say that. They do stream live lessons once a month on Sundays at 6 p.m. Irish local time, where there's a tutor. They say there's a tutor, and then they stream. You can't play together because of the lag, but where you can, like it's like a Skype lesson, but there's a different tutor each Sunday. So.
Voilà. Donc une session, un one-to-one session, yes. Donc tous les une fois par mois.
Or however many people, however you can book a one-to-one, but usually what they do is it's a group lesson. Voilà. So it's one person teaching on whatever instrument and on all the different instruments on whatever tune it is they're teaching.
Mais il n'y a pas vraiment un partage de musique. La personne joue en Irlande et vous jouez chez vous, donc pour votre satisfaction et pour la sensation de session. Voilà, on entend au fur et à mesure qu'ils jouent, mais il y a trop de décalage horaire pour que ça fonctionne comme il faut. Ils ont essayé, puis c'est difficile. Okay. Peut-être passer le relais. One more question. Dernière question. Oh, c'est bon. Okay.
Thank you very much, you all. This was lovely being here. Thank you to Mike, Mike James, for my translator, and thank you so much, and we'll see you later. If you have any questions, please come, and I will try to answer them. So thank you very much.
Idem, si vous voulez, venez nous voir, et puis on peut approfondir des points que vous n'aurez pas forcément compris à